guys, we're back with another episode of Horror Huddle. I'm Stacey Beth. We have Ash here as always.
Howdy.
I'm so excited for this one. Ash has been on my ass for the last week and a half. When are we going to record? When are we going to record? We got to do this one before it fucking loses its steam. So we are doing 2017's 16, if you want to be really technical, but whatever. 2017's Split.
Yeah, not a shocker. Everyone knows that this is one of the biggest things out right now.
Yeah, everyone's doing it too, so whatever. You guys know it's written and directed by M. Night Shyamalan. I'm sure.
Which up until recently was kind of the kiss of death.
Exactly. You hear a lot of groans, when you hear that name and stuff. Except I've always been a fan of him. I never saw his shitty movies except The Last Airbender, so.
Yeah, well, and honestly, that might have been the bottom of the barrel anyway. So
exactly, but I never saw Lady in the Water or anything. Actually, I think I've seen all of his movies except for that one. So I probably dodged a bullet with that.
Wasn't completely horrible, Airbender.
Yeah, that one was awful.
As I said, if you saw Airbender, you know what? You basically got a scale between his best and his worst.
And to make it worse, I went with my best friend at the time to go watch it in the theaters, and some asshole had put gum on the seat, so I got gum stuck to my shirt, and I'm like, this is already going to be a bad time. And then the movie was bad, so it just was an all-around awful experience. But as we know, M. Night came back, last year before, with The Visit. I think it was 2015, with The Visit, which was a pleasant surprise, and almost you could safely say hey, M. Night's coming back. He's got to return to form. He's back.
He wasn't quite there yet, but it was definitely he was going in the right direction. It was definitely from that bottom.
It's definitely
his way back.
It's how it's when you're getting a job after a couple of years of not working at all, and you're okay, I gotta learn the ins and outs again of doing things. So that's kind of what it is. And so this one, I am that's it. He's back. He's back. This is M. Night at his top right now, and I kind of love it.
And you know what? I'm just I don't want to say it because part of me says if I say it, it's going to be a fucking hex and it's going to get worse again.
I know.
But I gotta say, this is pretty damn close to his original form.
Well, and it's we're not the only ones saying it either, so we can't be to blame if the next movie flops. So,
we should be to blame.
I know, right? Okay, so basic plot, these three girls get abducted by this guy who has a dissociative identity disorder, and he's got 23 different personalities. And they're trying to escape throughout the whole movie before this supposed 24th personality, the Beast, emerges. And it's supposed to be super scary, That's pretty much the basic plot. It stars...
And the guy with split personalities is played by James McAvoy.
Yes.
If you've seen the new X-Men movies.
You know him. Love him. He's been in a lot of other stuff. I know there's a really good movie that I liked that he did called Filth. That's a great movie. Anya Taylor-Joy, who plays Casey, the lead, and she, of course, everybody knows her from The Witch. And I just watched this sci-fi movie with her in it called Morgan, and she plays the lead character or whatever, and it's all right. It's all right. Haley Lou Richardson, Jessica Sola, and Betty Buckley, who plays Dr. Fletcher. It's McAvoy's psychiatrist, whatever she is.
Yeah, and she played Miss Collins in Carrie.
Mm-hmm. And I read that she played the Cuckoo Lady in The Happening, which was another M. Night movie, which also was not a very good one either. But I watch it every time it's on. So
it was great because you had Marky Mark, overacting.
But I don't really like him.
What? No.
I did just see him in Deepwater Horizon last night. So
I heard that was a good one.
Dude, it was fucking good. It was so good. Okay. Anyways, we're just gonna get right into it. We're gonna just talk about it, and just to let you guys know, if you have not seen in the title yet, it's going to be super, super fucking spoiler heavy. So if you have not watched it, go away.
Stop what you're doing right fucking now and go see it.
It's still in theaters, yeah. And if you don't give a shit, it's and if you, a lot of y'all might already know the twist, but still, you know what I mean? Go watch it first. Okay, so it kind of jumps right into it, and that's what I loved. When we see the abduction scene, that kind of creeps me out.
It's the first scene in the movie.
It creeps me the hell out because you don't see him. You just see the dad turn around and be like, can I help you? And then all of a sudden, it's like, he just fucking gets in their car.
Yeah, and like for a second, then no one notices. He's just sitting there.
I'm sorry, but I don't know. Then again, I'm not a teenage girl, so maybe I wouldn't have either. But I feel like I would have like probably turned around, seen the guy, and like I would have been, that door would have just had a silhouette of me. You know what I mean? Like I would have ran away, but that wouldn't have been fun.
But I love the reactions like, sir, I think you got in the wrong car.
Yeah, and like just sprays their asses. I was like, what?
Yeah, and I love that he leaves Casey. You know, she's just sitting there, and you know, after he's already gassed the other two, he just sits there for a while, looks at her, looks back, and then she tries to get out, and he's like, oh, now
it's almost like, and that's like that weird comedic stuff that they have in there is, you know, like he hears the door unlock, she's about to run, and he stops, and then he just puts that mask on all calm and like, like what? That shit's just weird. I don't know. So basically, Casey is the lead character alongside McAvoy, and we find out through flashbacks throughout the course of the movie that she has been sexually abused by her uncle since before and after her father's death, because after her father died, then the uncle is now her legal guardian, which is so fucking awful. So you already know that she's got some issues, and that's going to obviously come into play somewhere around here.
Well, even before you really get into like the, you know, really heavy stuff is like, oh my gosh, she was molested, because it don't, you know,
it takes a long.
Tells you that.
Yeah, like over the movie.
Tell like out of all the girls, like all the girls are freaking out, and she's the only one that's kind of sitting there, keeping her cool.
Yeah, she's like, I've been through some shit my whole life, bitches. Like, this ain't shit. Like, hold on. So, we find out that McAvoy's character, well, his real name is Kevin, but one of his personalities is named Barry, and Barry controls, and not in a bad way, but he controls the rest of the personalities and who can come forth.
Let's put that in past tense, controlled.
Controlled.
Because by the time the movie starts, he's not in control anymore.
Exactly, but we think he is, you know. Yeah. And so he's this fashion. His personality. He's a fashion designer. He always goes to his psychologist with, you know, his sketches and stuff. And he says that, and I don't remember if it's him or her that says how he controls the personalities. That basically they're kind of all sitting in this waiting room, sitting in chairs, waiting for their turn in the light. And Barry's the one.
I wonder if that's like sitting in the DMV.
Yeah, we're probably right. Like, God, they're just like bored. So he developed this dissociative identity disorder because he was abused as a child himself from his mom, who had obsessive compulsive disorder. So he created all of these personalities to kind of help himself cope with it.
Yeah, and his father wasn't in his life.
We never really mentioned. Oh, yeah, we do. Duh, that's the whole point. We mentioned a father. His father apparently took off on a train. That's all we know for that point. And so there's a couple of his other, we get 4 personalities that we see out of the 23 total, including Barry. There's Patricia, who's a female, kind of like the mom, like.
Yeah, mom, the brains, kind of the one that's kind of controlling all the rest of them.
I think Dennis, who we meet, he's got OCD. He's the one who's like, I think he's a little bit more.
He's OCD, but he's also the muscle. That's how I felt through the movies. Like that Patricia was kind of the ringleader. She's the one that trains the operation. He's the muscle.
But also, so the personality Dennis also likes to watch young girls dance naked. Mm-hmm. And so Patricia is the one who keeps him in check from doing that. Yeah. She's saying, you know, I'm going to protect you girls. Like, he's not going to do anything to you. Don't worry about it. And then we get Hedwig, who is a 9-year-old personality. I mean, he acts like a child, and it's so impressive. And I'm telling you, like, we were discussing it, that I'm like, dude, he needs a fucking award for his role. Like, it's roles, you know what I mean? Like, it's amazing. I mean, aside from, like,
each of those characters, if it would have just been one character throughout, I still would have been like, that's a really well-acted character, really well thought out. So the fact that he not only did that with one, he did that with like multiple personalities, multiple roles, basically.
Yeah.
That really shows, you know, his range.
And I've always loved him as an actor, so it was really cool to see him in like a horror movie and to see him play like a great role. You know what I mean? And not be like, oh God, yes, thank you. Like I knew you could do it.
Let's be fair. Is not, to me, it's not a horror film. Like,
no, not a horror. It's a thriller, but
it works its way into that horror niche as it goes on.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, another character, like we said, his psychologist, Dr. Fletcher, she's amazing. I love her. So her whole thing is that as she's treating him, and I think she's treated other people with DID and stuff, or DID, and she believes that people with this disorder are like exceptional human beings, that they're capable, and also that they're capable of changing their physiology with their different personalities.
Every single personality is so unique that they pick up traits that are not inherent in the original personality, original person's body.
Yeah.
Like, I think she mentioned one of them was like diabetic.
No, there was, one of his personalities.
It was high cholesterol.
No, it was diabetic.
No. At first, she mentions in her thesis when she's talking to this symposium that one of her clients has normal cholesterol. But whenever this other personality comes up, they've tested, has high cholesterol for some reason, out of nowhere.
Well, and then he also, and McAvoy's character mentioned, because I never know which one to call it, mentions when he's talking to the psychologist or the doctor, I don't even know what she is. I'm assuming she's a psychologist. Mentions to her, like, oh, weren't you talking about a girl who was blind, and when she changed one of her personalities, she was able to see. And he's like, so that's possible, right? Because they would keep bringing up the beast. And she was trying to tell him, look, I don't think the beast is real, even though she was fighting to prove that it's possible to change the physiology of your body chemistry and stuff.
And the whole time while he's talking to the therapist, for people that have seen the movie already know it, but it's Dennis trying to play as Barry. So the whole time, she's talking to him like Barry, it's like she brings up Dennis and Patricia. It's like, no, those personalities you suppressed. They're the ones that were the kind of psycho cultists that believe in this being.
And she knows, though. She knows that it's not Barry.
Through talking, she realizes like this.
There's little things. There's things that he's doing.
Things are teeing me off that this is Barry.
He kept fixing the chocolate bowl. You know what I mean, and stuff. And she's like, Barry wouldn't do that. Dennis, that's OCD. He walked. And one of the other characters walked through a pile of trash.
Walked through it, and there's like, well, no, if that was if that was Dennis because he's a clean freak, he would have walked around. And she's like, no, he did that on purpose because he knew we were watching.
Yep, yeah, it's so cool. And of course, that was the scene that M. Night was in. And of course, he's got to have his little cameo. But yeah, so. Her whole thing, again, like I was saying, is she's trying to prove that this is possible, but at the same time, she's trying to tell him, look, I don't think the beast is real, because the way that he's explaining the beast sounds a little too far-fetched to be possible, like saying it's able to scale walls and, climb over and have superhuman strength and all this
sort
crazy
of like a werewolf, huh?
Yeah. That was my thing.
That's an inside joke between her and I.
Yeah.
I saw the movie first. I told her to watch. She's like, I've seen the trailer. Does he turn into a werewolf or something? I was like, no.
Because I was always, every time I saw the trailer, I kept thinking, it's going to be a fucking werewolf. He's going to turn into a fucking werewolf. I know it. I know he is. They keep saying the beast. And wouldn't that be a twist in M. Night fashion for him to turn into a monster, a real creature, Like, I was completely off. So, we're going to go, let me see, where am I at over here? Okay, going back to us finding out that Casey's, being sexually abused and stuff like that. So of course she's using her experience being abused to keep herself alive and to kind of trying to help keep the girls alive, even though they're not, it's not working out with them. But
she basically does that Stockholm thing, She tries to relate to them to where she's hoping, well, if I relate to them enough, they're not going to fucking kill me.
And so I watched this movie twice already. So upon second viewing, it was cool because since I already knew what happened, it was easier for me to sit and watch the subtle things and pick up on things that otherwise you wouldn't have the first time because you didn't know what was going on. Like when they're first, when they're waking up in this kind of like not padded room, but in this room that's like a cell or whatever, he's bringing one of the other girls away to another room, and before she can get taken away, Casey tells the girl, like, pee your pants, just pee your pants. And you're like, what? And then you're realizing, like, oh my God, that's probably what she would do when she was younger, when she was being abused by her uncle. She would probably do this stuff to try and keep him away from her. And so it is, like, really sad at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like, God, that sucks. Like, but it's like this stuff eventually helped her. You know what I mean? Or, like, learning how to handle people who have fucking issues. You know what I mean? Through her own issues. I don't know.
Yeah, and we already talked about like how she's sort of, you know, getting into not necessarily the minds of, but she's trying to sympathize with her captors a bit because she thinks she's going to be able to possibly get out of this. And one of the personas that she really connects with is the Hedwig character, the little child.
Yeah.
You know, because she notices, like, you know, he's definitely a childlike character. So she's like, well, he's acting like a child. Treat him like a child.
Yeah.
So there's this nice connection that kind of grows over a few scenes where it's like, you know, he really connects with her to the point where I think in a certain point in the movie, he's like, do you want to kiss? Or
yeah, he's like, can I kiss you? You're like, oh, shit, yeah. Yeah, no, I like this character. I was telling you that before we started recording and stuff, and I was like, I think he was my favorite character. I don't know. I liked him, so. And so he's telling her at one point, he's telling her that his favorite artist is Kanye West, and he loves to dance to it and stuff. And so she ends up.
And then in his room, his room has a window.
Yeah, and she's like, oh shit, okay.
So she's like, yeah, I want to hear your music, you know.
Yeah.
Your music
and he takes her, he sneaks her out and takes her to the room, and it's like it's probably maybe like if 15 seconds long of a scene, if that, but it's like. I don't know, it's just creepy to me because the way that he's dancing is just weird, and she's just standing in the doorway, like, having no idea what to do, and he's just kind of jumping around and gyrating.
Very Glover-esque.
Yeah. So it was funny, though. It was funny. It had,
was funny, but also, you know, when she gets to the room, she sees the window, and it's a drawing. So it really kind of cements him as this, like, you know.
Oh, my God, yeah.
But, you know, this innocent kind of persona where he's like, yeah, here's my window, and now the window's open, you know.
That was, like, totally, like, you could just see that look on her face, like, oh, fuck. Like, it's not a real window. I'm still screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into the Beast. The Beast finally emerges, and it is probably... You don't see like a full-on transformation or whatever.
Well,
but
the initial kind of transformation is basically he goes to this train station with flowers and stuff, and you're thinking,
that's, you know, the whole thing is his dad left. The last time he saw him, his dad was on the train.
The Beast is on the train. The Beast is in the train yard. That's where he resides.
Yeah,
not in the room.
Yeah,
he's there. So you know. They all, I guess, whatever persona was in charge at that point, takes the flowers to this train station and puts them down, you know, starts.
And it was so creepy because it was dark. It was dark in the train, and you just see him take his shirt off, but you see that he's like real swole, like he's buff as hell. And I'm just like, oh, fuck. What is going to happen? What is this dude going to turn into? And
not a werewolf, though.
No, not a werewolf, but he is like super buff. And you can see like all the veins on him and stuff, and he just looks scary. Like there's nothing like crazy about him, but it's like this dude's like superhuman. There's something up with him, and so he ends up back at the place where he's keeping the girls and stuff because he's already got them all separated.
By this time, the psychologist is already there.
Yeah,
to check on him because. Like throughout the movie, she's been getting these emails, like saying, "We need to talk. It's important. Please, you know, we need to talk." And basically, what it is, it's some of the personas inside of his head, just barely getting out, just long enough to write an email saying, "We need help. Help us."
Yeah. So at this point, the girls are already all separated because they've all, you know, they're all trying to escape at certain points. So he's putting them all in separate rooms together, and the doctor he dispatches of her, you know, he does away with her.
And it was a really well done scene because they don't show his face. Mm-mm. They just show up like from like chest down as he comes up behind her.
It was such an effective shot scene because he puts his arms around her body, and when you see his hands like grabbing his other arms, like just the way his hands
farther around, so you're like thinking,
but just seeing his hands, like they just like you were like, ooh, something's happening. It looks painful, you know.
Yeah, and you see as the arms get closer and closer together, as he's just literally squeezing her down to like, you know, this size basically.
Yeah. It's so wild. And then eventually he does away with the other girls. You don't see that really. But the whole point is that he was wanting to...
He needed a snack.
He needed sustenance. So
And that's why throughout the movie, the whole thing was, how... which one was it? The one that was the clean freak?
Dennis.
Yeah, Dennis. Patricia was like, you can't touch them. They need to be pure for the beast.
Yeah.
Because that's basically his sustenance. He's there to take all the pure in the world and,
Yeah, that was the beast's purpose, was he wanted to rid the world of impure people because they have never suffered. And that goes into the doctor telling him.
I would have been one of the girls. I would have been like, I've suffered. I have bulimia.
Oh, God. Well, anyways, so...
I have image problems. You can't eat me.
Damn it, Ash. So, no, anyways, so that's the whole point, but it goes to the doctor telling him and consistently reassuring him that he is an extraordinary person. He is an exceptional person because of the things he's gone through and the things that he's experienced. He is better. He's better than normal people. You know what I mean? And so I think that instilled into him as the beast is saying, well, now I want to get rid of people who have not, because they're nothing. We are the evolved. And that he did say that when he was trying to get to the bars. We are evolved. People who have hurt are evolved, and I don't know. I thought it was fucking great. Like, I loved that explanation. I loved that point of it. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't just, he's just a monster. He had a purpose. You know what I mean?
And then the final confrontation between Casey and him. Oh
man, that gave me some feels, dude. Like,
it could have went off the rails really quickly, because the movie, while still, kind of fantasy, is, it tries to set itself in reality. So once the beast manifests with all these special abilities, it definitely could have become a kind of comic book fodder really quick.
Yeah.
But I think the way they did it was just sly enough to where it didn't quite feel that bad.
Yeah, because ultimately...
When they showed him climbing upon the ceiling, it wasn't a flat ceiling. It was pipes and stuff that he was shimmying across. So you could go be like, well, he's just holding himself up by the pipes.
It's like, shit, we've seen rock climbers do, the same thing with little bits of part to grab. So
it definitely wasn't like a Spider-Man moment.
It's feasible to a point, you know what I mean? Yeah. But hey, it's a movie. You know what I mean? But and so ultimately what saves Casey is the fact that he realizes that she too is hurt and has been hurt and suffered, and so he's like, you are pure. Your heart is pure, blah, 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 we're evolved, all this, and she starts crying, and I'm like, too, I'm crying too, and I'm like, how sweet.
Yeah, but still, that few minutes right before that where she grabs a shotgun, isn't it? Yeah. Because basically what happens is, right before the final confrontation, she finds a note that the doctor wrote down. It's like, you need to say his original name, his full name. That will bring his original persona.
But it's almost one of those, like, use it wisely. It's like a lifeline, use it wisely, because once you do, it's going to cause chaos in that waiting room of people, and they're all going to want to try and come out.
Yeah.
So that was kind of her
that
saving.
Scene right there, I wanted to go back to it, because that was probably the most, like, sad moments in the movie. Because Kevin finally comes up.
We finally got to see Kevin.
And Kevin's like, what year is it? The last time I was here was 2014.
Yeah.
And then she's like, it's 2017. He looks down, he sees like the body of his shrink, and he's like, oh my God, I did this, didn't I? She's
or he's like, what happened? And she's like, really bad stuff, And
he realized like now, like his other personas were murdered. He's like, go into
because they made sure.
He literally says, go into a locker down the hall. There's a shotgun, load it, and kill me. Because he's just devastated that he's caused all of this.
Yeah. And it's crazy.
Then suddenly all these different personas start popping up, and you're like, oh, shit, run.
Yeah. And it was crazy because it's like to realize.
She does get that shotgun, and she shoots him. And you're like, yes, shoots him point blank range. You're like, yes. And then you're like, oh, shit, it didn't work.
Yeah. Okay, before we go way over time, because we're already going a little bit. I mean, we still have a lot to talk about. We got to talk about the ending.
Well, we got to talk about the ending. The McAvoy scene part that I loved the most, where it really showed the beast, was when he goes to bend the bars. He sticks his face right up in the bars, and he's like,
"Oh, it's so
like,
crazy."
Demented looking.
His face, his eyes were black, and his mouth. You see all his teeth and blood. It's like
you're like, "Oh shit!"
Fuck! I would have just shit my pants right there.
She takes off her shirt, basically showing all of her scars. And
no, because he rips her shirt.
Yeah, and
trying to get her.
And then he sees all the scars, and he's like, "Fuck! I can't kill you now."
You're saved. God, fine. I gotta go now. I'll get out of here. Anyway, so then
she escapes and everything.
A guy finds her because you realize that she's been living, or they have been under the zoo where he works. Yep. And he does live there. They know he lived there, but they didn't realize that he had all this shit down there, And so you're like, oh my God, she's under the fucking zoo. How crazy. Okay, anyways. We got to get to it's like it's not really post credits. It's like literally 1 second after the first credits start. Then you get into a diner and you start seeing
news footage of like this big thing that happened, and like all the patrons are like, "Oh wow, that's fucked up." Yeah, wasn't there something like that a few years ago where like there was like this guy that caused all these accidents and shit?
Well, no, the girl they're cutting. They're cutting into this girl or zooming in on the girl, and she's like, "Hey, wasn't there a guy that they put in jail like 15 years ago in the wheelchair? Didn't they give him?"
Didn't he have a weird name too?
Yeah.
And then it pans farther back, and you see Bruce Willis, and he's like, "Yeah, his name was Mr. Glass."
Oh shit!
Anyone who's watched the movie Unbreakable, you're like, "Holy shit, that's done! This is the same fucking universe."
You should have seen Adam's face when he was like...
Well, when you told me he loved Unbreakable, I was like, oh my God, take him to see it now, because you don't want him to get spoiled about this. You have to see it without being really spoiled about it.
So,
oh my fucking God.
You guys watching, if you haven't realized it, Split and Unbreakable take place in the same cinematic universe.
Yep. And it was there for people who were really like kind of looking at details, because the poster of Unbreakable had like these shards of broken glass, and if you looked at it side by side with Split,
it matches up. And it's funny because M. Night has come out and said, yeah, that was intentional. And you're like, oh, how cool. So, and I mean, I can only imagine people who like have never seen Unbreakable, who have no idea about Unbreakable at all. No, hold on. Who have no idea about Unbreakable at all. Like, don't even, like, saw the guy or like, what? Who is that? Like, now me, I have never seen Unbreakable, but I know about the movie. I've seen bits and pieces.
I did spoil it as far as, like, it does connect with one of his other movies, Unbreakable. You just have to watch it.
Yeah. So it was spoiled for me in that sense, but I wasn't upset because I'd never seen the movie before. But I knew the characters. I know the basic plot of it. And it was still, like, I didn't know how. He didn't tell me how the character was going to be introduced. I was just like, I was just as like, whoa, that's fucking awesome. Okay, cool. I'm so in. Now I have to go watch it.
Well, just by virtue of the fact that Unbreakable was M. Night Shyamalan's version of a superhero movie, it was good that he put that in there, because it was like a Marvel like cutscene clip, kind of like, here's something to come.
Well, and so M. Night has since then come out and said, like, you know what? Kevin's character was written in Unbreakable, but I ended up taking it out because it kind of didn't make sense.
We didn't need two big villains.
Yeah, he's like, there was already a lot going on.
That's a big one.
Yeah, so he was like, I kind of set it aside.
But go into your theory, because that's a nice...
No, it's not my theory. Correction, it is not my theory. I read it on, I think it's Birth Movies Death. Somebody had the theory that they kept mentioning that Kevin's dad took off on a train, and everybody's saying, oh, what if that was the train that I guess Bruce Willis wasn't in the accident, and Mr. Glass and all that stuff. And I was like, okay, then. And so I told Ash about it, and he's like, oh, that's actually a good one. Like, okay.
That would be a good twist.
I wouldn't be surprised if they made that a thing.
Look at like the numbers as far as like how old would McAvoy's character have been in the original movie.
Yeah, because they never mention how old he is. movies.
Yeah.
Because we get all these different characters, so we don't know how old he really is. I think that, I mean, he still looks fairly young, so I think they could get away with, you know, with 15 years ago, him being however old. Because they never mention how old he is when his father leaves. Not that I recall. So, so now everybody's realizing, okay, this is definitely, like, hinting at there could be a possible sequel finally for Unbreakable.
Well, it's not a matter of could. There is going to be at this point.
Yeah.
I think even M. Night Shyamalan, I don't know if he expected this big of a hit because as of like just earlier today, the article I read, $9 million budget. Right now, it's been 3 weeks at number one, beating out like Resident Evil, The Ring, $142 million.
Yeah.
Close to 143. At this point, it still has some legs on it before it goes out.
Yeah.
Theater.
Well, so now
completely nuts. So there's no reason why he's not.
Yeah. Well, then a couple of days ago, M. Night tweeted, "I have an 11-page outline for my next film in my bag. I can't tell you what it is, but if you've seen Split, ... And you're like, oh, okay. So he's definitely doing this. He's doing this for sure. Another quick little tidbit. I read that Joaquin Phoenix was originally slated to play Kevin.
Yeah, you told me this earlier, and it would have been interesting. I would have liked to seen it. I don't know if it would have worked on the same level. Cause
I don't either.
McAvoy, he really brought realism to the characters. Well, up until the Beast, which was, of course, it's over the top. It's the Beast. Joaquin Phoenix, I mean, would he have played them like kind of caricatures? Like
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. We're never going to know. So, okay, but this is like, we're going to get to the heavy stuff now before we get off of here. It might take a couple minutes.
So
we wanted to get into the controversy that came about with the movie. People were bitching that, and upset that this movie was stigmatizing mental illness, that they're monsters, and that they're going to portray them as monsters. And it's like, I'm pretty positive that these people that were upset about it did not watch the movie and probably only were going off of the trailer.
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling.
And we discussed...
Or just word of mouth. Oh, well, this guy with split personalities that turns into Beast. Oh, well, then that's what he is. He's just a guy.
Yeah, he's abducting people. He's this, he's that.
The personalities defined who he is.
Me and Ash discussed it at length before we started recording, and I don't think that it's stigmatizing mental illness. Now, granted, yes, M. Night probably... I don't know his history. I don't know anything about him, so who knows? Maybe he does know anything about mental illness, but if he doesn't... He did a pretty damn good job of not, I don't know, portraying it, but of handling it well. Because the point of this... Because the point of this...
it seem like all those personalities were evil.
Yeah, because the point of it was that they were showing that people with mental illness were exceptional people, that they were extraordinary, that they were above people without mental illness. You know what I mean? And I was like, I think that's
with the personalities we saw the most, like, all the personalities aren't evil. Like, you have Hedwig, which is a fairly innocent, childlike character.
Yeah.
You have Kevin, the original personality, who's literally says, please kill me. I don't want to be a monster I've turned into. Please end this.
Yeah.
So, to say that, oh, well, they're making, people with, mental disorders look like evil people. Well, this character wasn't inherently evil. It had some, personalities that had probably, delusional and bad intentions, but then again, there have been news stories before where people with multiple personalities have had one do some bad things.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the movie was pointing out that people with mental illness are amazing and superhuman, and because they've suffered, because they've gone through this, because they've gone through that they are extraordinary people. And I think that's fucking cool. As somebody who has severe anxiety and panic, attacks and depression and stuff, like, it's nice to feel like, okay, I'm not weaker than
it's never
people
black and white.
Yeah.
It's never black and white. There are some good traits in those characters. There's some bad traits. So for people to just blanketly say, well, I'm not going to watch this movie, it's horrible, that's making, this person with split personalities look like an evil person.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I think that if anything, they should watch the movie.
Yeah.
And if at the end not like it, then fine. At least they gave it a shot. But
yeah. It's like your concerns
holds no weight for me.
Yeah, it's like your concerns are valid. Your opinion is valid. Your grievances with it are valid. I understand. But before you write it off entirely and think that this guy is just, making a mockery of mental illness, go watch it and see, and you'll see that. And if you come out of it still thinking the same, then fine. That's okay.
Then at least it's an educated opinion.
Yeah, but at least understand that a lot of people with mental illness are coming out of it appreciating it and loving it, and you probably feeling a little bit better afterwards. You know what I mean? Like, it does give you a little bit of feels, as most M. Night movies tend to do. Like, he always adds a little bit of, giving you some feels.
Well, except for Last Airbender.
Oh, yeah. No, that gave me some feels, some angry ones. So, there's that.
But I will say this. It is an M. Night Shyamalan film. So, you will get some M. Night Shyamalan-isms throughout it. Some of the dialogue is kind of not necessarily cringeworthy, but it definitely sounds like it's written by someone who doesn't understand how people talk.
Yeah. I'm not going to say that.
There's some little, logic gaps where it's kind of convenient that they get into this room and don't try to escape for about a third of the movie.
Yeah.
We're just sitting in the room.
But we're not going to vent about that.
That's what you get when you go see an M. Night Shyamalan film.
Mm-hmm.
If you like M. Night Shyamalan's films, then that's not going to matter to you. Still go see the movie without that.
It's absolutely. Go watch it, please, and go watch it as many times as you can.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Well, I think that about covers it for Split. So glad we did this. We hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.
Take care.